Hi there, Matt. This could have significant implications for the global oil market, and that is because John Bolton has, of course, been seen as a bad cop within the Trump administration, certainly a hawk on key foreign policy headaches like China, Venezuela, North Korea, and in particular, Iran. Now, the market response that we've seen to this was initially a pullback in oil prices, and that's also quite interesting here. The reason oil prices essentially came back was because Bolton has, of course, been Dr. No when it comes to talks with Iran. So analysts say this could potentially ease tensions between the two countries. It reduces the chances of potential US strikes on Iran, and at the same time, perhaps even longer term, may actually result in Iran returning to the oil export market in a best case scenario. So that would mean that perhaps with increased supply, it is likely that oil prices would continue to moderate. Of course, at the same time, though, you also have to consider the China angle here. Crude oil certainly has a demand problem at the moment, and his removal from the administration may also pave the way for a better prospects or perhaps a better deal with Beijing. That would certainly ease global growth concerns, and hence that translation into global oil demand fears could also ease as a result, which could potentially be a catalyst for oil. So there's two sides to this coin. Either way, more questions than answers when it comes to his replacement within the administration. And also interesting to hear from others within the administration, including the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who weighed in on this. He certainly didn't mix any words, saying that essentially Mr. Bolton is not going to be missed. Listen in.
Look, I don't talk about the inner workings of how this all goes. We all give our candid opinions. There were many times Ambassador Bolton and I disagree. That's to be sure. But that's true for lots of people with whom I interact. My mission set is always to make sure, as I run the Department of State, is to deliver America's diplomacy and to work with the team, whether it's the Treasury or the President's staff, to make sure we get good outcomes. I know everyone's talked about this for an awfully long time. There were definitely places that Ambassador Bolton and I had different views about how we should proceed.
Also easing some of these fears really within the administration is the fact that Pompeo is also a hardliner on Iran. So whether or not we will see some kind of strategy shift on potential talks, or even the likelihood or the prospects of a meeting between Trump and Rouhani actually going ahead, really remains to be seen. But Matt, oil markets certainly taking this news in this morning with a bit of gusto.
Yeah, absolutely. And on another big story in the oil space, you managed to get some insight into the highly anticipated Aramco IPO, that massive scrum. You're front and centre. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the Aramco CEO, Nasser, appearing at the World Energy Congress late yesterday, he essentially said that Aramco is now ready to go public as soon as he gets the go-ahead from the chief shareholder, which is, of course, the Saudi Arabian government. I also asked him how interest in the IPO has been, and he said it's skyrocketing. Listen into some of this exchange.
Listing will be decided by the shareholder, not by Saudi.
Do you have a preference for a location at the moment, though?
We'll, as always, as I said, the shareholder will decide, and we are ready to list wherever the shareholder asks us to list.
Any thoughts on a time frame, though?
Yeah, as highlighted by His Royal Highness the Minister of Energy yesterday, Prince Abdulaziz, it's going to be soon. So I'll leave it at that.
So we were able to get a couple of quick comments from the CEO of the world's most profitable company on this highly anticipated IPO. Certainly not much more clarity when it comes to that secondary listing here, Matt. Of course, we still have New York, London, Tokyo, Hong Kong, all still in play. At the same time, he was also asked throughout the course of that news conference exactly how much money Aramco could raise. There was no real answer there. And also, he stopped short of giving any more clarity on who has been appointed to advise on this IPO. So a lot more to come. Still more questions than answers on this issue as well. But it's very clear that we are seeing more transparency now, more openness from Saudi Aramco, and that is a positive for investors. Matt, the other issue was on governance, and we asked him whether or not governance is going to be an issue for potential investors into the IPO. He said, no, this is not an issue now, particularly now that we've seen the former energy minister of Saudi Arabia, Khalid al-Falih, being removed from his position as the chairman of Aramco and being replaced with the head of the country's public investment fund, one step forward in essentially separating church and state within Saudi Aramco ahead of the IPO. Back over to you.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.